August the 7th, 1666. Off betimes to Mr. Gregg's in Pudding Lane for one of his estimable steak bakes. I am still rejoicing that 1665, the ghastly year of the plague, is behind us, and 1666 promises much merriment and joy. To my astonishment, I find him outside his shop, extinguishing a smouldering pile of pastry, and discover that, yet again, he has burnt his wares. In jest, I do warn him that one day he will fire his whole shop if he be not careful. He laughs at my fears and informs me that he hath a new popular confection, a veggie sausage roll, assuring me that they are oven ready and world beating, and who sell well to those beard wearers who live in Hoxton. I taste his invention, and, though I do not say so to his face, if this be the new normal, it would be no great loss to London if his shop did catch fire. On to Whitehall, where Mr. Lloyd, with overweening pride, gestures to the sign of his new coffee house, feigning interest at the dull black horse rampant on a green field. I tell him that his sign and name might befit the lackluster business of a moneylender or some such, but lend themselves not so prettily to the fashionable enterprise of purveying coffee. He waxes most wrathful and says, "Well, you come up with a better one then." I pluck a title from my ever-inventive mind, at which he laughs scornfully, saying it is already in common parlance as lewd rhyming slang uttered by rough cockneys, though I've never heard Starbuck used in such a manner. September the 2nd, 1666. My warning to Mr. Gregg hath proven true, and his highly flammable steak bakes, though toothsome and fair value as part of a meal deal with a quart of port, have caused the destruction of a goodly part of Pudding Lane, from whence fire is fast spreading through the city. I fear I must protect my gold, and to this end hurry home to instruct my wife to carry half of it and a goodly round of Parmesan cheese to safety in the country beyond London. I discover the table not set for supper and chastise Susan, the maid, until she sees the error of her ways. This consumeth the hour before supper, but at the height of her chastisement, Susan doth remind me that it is my wedding anniversary. I pledge that on the morn I shall buy a diary from Mr. Ryman's quill and parchment shop in the Strand, so that all future dates of such importance may be entered therein. Supper with my wife is a frosty affair for reasons I cannot fathom. I do spend much time explaining to her how and where she must hide our wealth. Her inattention, evident in the frequent protestations of whatever, fills me with misgivings. I comfort myself that her father, who shall accompany her, is sounder in judgment. Entrusted with my valuable gold and cheese, they leave for the country. And so to bed. September the 4th, 1666. By water to the Anchor Tavern on the Bankside, where I view the fire from safety, fortified by their estimable ales, wines, spirits, full larder, and handsome barmaids. The irksome Mr. Lloyd doth come and provides a worrying account of how he oft discovers my father-in-law befuddled with wine and lost in the stews of the city. This raises in my already uncertain mind the fearful prospect that my wife and her father may not have suitably marked the place where they have hid my gold and cheese. Sunk in such melancholy musings, I mentioned to Mr. Lloyd that it would be of worth to our city if someone could create a means by which we might pay some little monies every month to protect us against future calamity. Consuming his pint of sack with unseemly haste, he starts up, leaping to his feet. I fear he hath been partaking too much of his own coffee drink, which hath the reputation among apothecaries and physicians of causing agitation. Pepsy, mate, he regales me in coarse, familiar tone. I must take my leave. I've had a brilliant idea. I wonder and fear for Mr. Lloyd's very sanity, and do worry that one day his inflamed imagination will cause him to commit an act of gross folly, such as building his house with plumbing and fireplaces on the outside, for which his long-suffering, comely wife will be compelled to have him removed to that place of confinement known as Bedlam, and he will end his days there tormented by a distempered spirit. So, with these troubled thoughts, I depart from the comfort of the anchor. September the 9th, 1666. Home from the theatre, I did find my wife returned, saying she has wondrous news. I ask her what tidings overjoy her so. Before I can seek assurance that she and her father have hid my gold and cheese safely in the country, she tells me that in a hostelry on the road out of London, they did meet an ambassador from the far exotic region of Nigeria, who claimed his vast wealth was trapped in London by the fire. He hath promised that in exchange for lending him my gold to provide for his ancient ailing mother, he would give them half his fortune when restored, which would, he assured her, be a mere matter of days. This, she tells me, amounts to 9 million sovereigns, and asks, am I not pleased that in exchange for my paltry gold, she hath been promised untold riches, and do I not marvel at her hitherto unsuspected mercantile skills? I call Susan the maid for a strong drink and make a note to cancel my purchase of the diary recording future anniversaries. And so to bed. My dreams once more troubled by fears that Bedlam may not be large enough to hold all those who do need their wits examining.